Dana Corona Prachu Babu Kota Gila Acharya Thakur Prabhu Kota Gila Acharya Thakur Kahamora Svaruprupa Kahasanatan Kahamora Svaruprupa Kahasanatan Dasarakunata Patita Pavan Kadasarakunata Patita Pavan Kahamora Bata Juga Kahakavira Kahamora Bata Juga Kahakavira Eka Kali Kota Gira Gira Goranatha Raj Eka Kali Kota Gila Goranatha Raj Sane Koshipamata Anale Pasibo Dasane Ata Anali Pasibo Goranga Kunera Niti Kota Gele Pavo Goranga Kunera Niti Kota Gele Pavo Sabasangira Sange Gailopila Sabasangira Sange Gailopila Sangana Paya Kande Narutamoda Sangana Paya Kande Narutamoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai, Jai, Jai. Oh, Premanande. Hare Krishna. So today it's the disappearance day of Srila Gaura Kishora Dasa Babaji, and you'll translate. Okay. Ah. Okay. Okay, so I'll read the. There is a text about Gaura Kishora Dasa Babaji here on. I think it must be from ISKCON Desire Tree. From ISKCON Desire Tree, and yeah, I didn't read it before, so we'll see what comes here. So the next in the parampara after Srila Bhaktivinoda Saraswati Thakur is an associate of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, a great Paramahansa Babaji by the name of Gaura Kishora Dasa Babaji Maharaj. Technically, he was a disciple of Bhagavad Das Babaji Maharaj, who was a disciple of Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj. In 1897, Gaura Kishora Dasa Babaji Maharaj came to Mayapur Navadvip Dham from Sri Vrindavan Dham, where he was accredited the exalted title Bhajyananandi. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, seeing the transcendent behavior of Babaji Maharaj, would use him as an example of nirapeksha, or indifference, as his level of renunciation was beyond belief. This Vaishnava saint's life was an example of utter humility and poverty, the true attributes of a Vaishnava. Gaura Kishora never accepted any material object from anyone. For his clothing, he used the discarded loin cloths from corpses left on the bank of the Ganges. For food, he would collect rice by begging, soak it in the river water, and garnish it with salt and chili. He never asked favors from anyone and lived a fully detached life devoid of all possessions. Very little information is available about the past life of Gaura Kishora, except that he was born in a Vaishya family in the village of Bhakjana near Tepakola on the bank of the Padma. As a householder, Gaura Kishora was known by the name Vangsidas, and it's not Vangsidas Babaji, that's someone else. At that time, he was engaged in some agricultural trade, and from the income took care of his wife and family honestly. After the death of his wife, Gaura Kishora renounced his home and went to Vrindavan, where he was initiated into Vairagya Vesha by Bhagavad Das Babaji, one of the foremost disciples of Jagannath Das Babaji. Srila Gaura Kishora lived on Madhukari, begging and slept beneath a tree. He would lie prostrate, offering his humble obeisances to the residents of Vraja, considering them as embodiments of Lord Krishna. He even offered his obeisances to the flowers, trees, and land around him. He spent about 30 years at Vrajamandala serving the deities there. Afterwards, perhaps by the direction of the Supreme Lord, he left for Navadvip. During his stay at Navadvip, Gaura Kishora underwent various transformations of spiritual moods. Sometimes he danced on the bank of the Ganges chanting Gaura, Gaura, while at other times he would lie on the ground in an unconscious state. He joyfully moved throughout the groves located on the bank of the Ganges, considering them sites of the divine sports of Sri Sri Radha Govinda. His only clothing was a strip of cloth around his waist, and often he went totally naked. He chanted japa on beads, or sometimes knotted a cloth and used that as a substitute for japa beads. Occasionally he went to Godrum Dweep to listen to Bhaktivinoda Thakur recite Srimad Bhagavatam. Babaji Maharaj would often visit Bhaktivinoda. During his last days in retirement, absorbed in Krishna Katha, he would hear Srimad Bhagavatam at Bhaktivinoda's house, and they would discuss together. Though Babaji Maharaj could neither read nor write, he was regarded as vastly learned and self-realized. His only possessions were the tulsi beads around his neck and the japamala he kept in his hands. Sometimes he wore no tulsi mala on his neck and would chant on knotted cloth as beads. Such was his renunciation. Sometimes he would live under an old, broken, overturned boat, and other times he would scatter fish bones around the place he occasionally used as his bhajan kutir to make materialists think he was a fish eater, and thus it would not disturb him. But by his pure bhajan he purified the three worlds. He was a guru of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami, the founder of the Chaitanya Mats and Gaudiya Mats. In 1898, when Bhaktivinoda's son, who was now residing in Godrum Dweep in Navadvip Dham, first came in contact with a person who was to be his spiritual master, Gaura Kishora Dasa Babaji Maharaj, the crest jewels of Avadutas was wearing a tiger skin hat and carrying a basket with puja paraphernalia inside. He offered the boy 4 or 5 pieces of rope for chanting his rounds on, and a tilak stamp for marking the body with Hare Krishna carved on it. Bhaktivinoda later told his son, "You must take initiation from Babaji Maharaj and don't return to this house if you don't." Gaura Kishora Dasa Babaji used to walk across a bridge at the same time daily. So on one occasion, Bhaktivinoda's son, Siddhanta Saraswati, blocked his path and in all humility said, "If you don't give me initiation, then I will finish my life by throwing this useless body off the bridge." Gaura Kishora Dasa Babaji Maharaj didn't want any disciples. He himself had taken shiksha from Bhaktivinoda, and this was Bhaktivinoda's dear son. Siddhanta Saraswati told him how his father had instructed him to become Babaji Maharaj's disciple or not return home. So in 1900, Babaji Maharaj gave him the name Vasabhanavavi Devi Daiti Das. It's not an easy one. He then gave his new initiate a tiger skin hat and basket that had been given to Gaura Kishora by his spiritual master Bhagavat Das Babaji, which he in turn had received from Jagannath Das Babaji. In 1908, Gaura Kishora Dasa Babaji Maharaj lost his external eyesight, so he then stopped traveling and just chanted and performed worship of Krishna. Being aloof from external consciousness, sometimes he would not dress his body. Instead, he would sit in his bhajan kutir, internally absorbed in Krishna's pastimes, and in a very deep voice be heard calling the names of the gopis of Vrindavan. Once, Srila Vasa Banavi Devi Daiti Das, or Siddhanta Saraswati, offered to take Babaji Maharaj to Calcutta to see an eye specialist, but he refused, saying, "Never, I will never go to the material world." His disciple protested, "But in Calcutta I could serve you nicely. You wouldn't have to undergo any inconvenience." But Babaji Maharaj was adamant, declaring, "I will never accept this service. Better I throw myself in the Saraswati or the Jelangri and drown." Once Babaji Maharaj turned up at the Yoga Pit, Lord Chaitanya's birthplace, at 2 a.m. Amazed, Sri Bhakti Saraswati inquired how he got there in the pitch black of night. Babaji Maharaj replied, "Someone brought me here." "Who could have brought you such a distance at this time?" inquired Bhaktisiddhanta. Finally, his mind concluded, "It must have been Krishna who personally brought you here, or else how did you cross the Ganges? How did you find your way across the dark fields?" But Babaji Maharaj would not answer more than, "One person brought me across the river, that's all." One day, Srila Gaura Kishora Dasa Babaji Maharaj wrapped his body and 2 feet with a cloth, sitting covered. Like this, he said, "Many persons, after being informed by others, come here to collect the dust from my feet. I tell them I'm not a Vaishnava. If you go to the vicinity where there are Vaishnavas with their feet pretentiously decorated and extended to touch, you can have unlimited dust. How can I bless you? I don't have burfi or sandesh or rasgulla or even sweet words. How can I bless you?" Nowadays, people are interested in spiritual masters who can give these things: wealth, good wife, sweet words. These cheating things are now taken as anukula or favorable. Every virtuous person looked forward to rendering service to Srila Gaura Kishora. However, he rarely allowed anyone the chance to serve him. Once Manindra Chandra Nandi, the Maharaj of Kasimbisar, sent a distinguished messenger to escort Gaura Kishora to the former's palace. Gaura Kishora, however, did not accept the Maharaj's invitation, saying that if he visited the palace, he may feel tempted by the wealth of the Maharaj, which may result in a strained relation between the two. Hence, Gaura Kishora suggested that instead of him visiting the palace, let the Maharaj free himself completely from the shackles of wealth by donating everything he owned to his relatives, and then come to live with Gaura Kishora in a specially prepared shed, where both of them could practice Hari Bhajan in peace. Srila Gaura Kishora was very selective about accepting invitations for food. He believed that partaking of food here and there could adversely affect the spiritual life of a devotee. Once a devotee named Harin Babu partook of prasadam offered at the festival held at Bhajan Kutir at Navadvip. For this, Gaura Kishora stopped communicating with Harin for 3 days. On the 4th day, Gaura Kishora explained that the prasad of the above festival had been financed by a woman of questionable profession, a pumschari, one who is moved by other men. Once on the eve of Sanatana Goswami's disappearance day, that he wouldn't speak with this Harin for 3 days because he had taken prasad at a festival which had been sponsored by a woman who was a pumschari. Pumschari means she was moved by men. Once on the eve of Sanatana Goswami's disappearance day, Gaura Kishora decided to celebrate the occasion. The devotee attending him asked who would provide them with the materials for the celebration. Srila Gaura Kishora replied, "Remember not to speak to anyone about it. We shall miss a meal and continue around the clock chanting the holy name. This could be the typical festival for those of us who have taken the vow of poverty." Narendra Kumar Sen, a resident of Agartala or Tripura, once approached Gaura Kishora to learn about Guru Pranali or Siddhi Pranali. Gaura Kishora told him, "The Supreme Lord cannot be realized through worldly knowledge. Only through the chanting of the holy name can the true nature of the Lord be revealed. As the Lord is revealed from the letters comprising the Naam, the devotee gradually begins to understand his own nature and becomes acquainted with Seva. Once a physician told Gaura Kishora that he intended to move to Navadvip and take up charitable practices. Gaura Kishora advised the physician that if he truly decided to live in Navadvip, then he should give up the plan for a charitable practice, because it would only encourage materially minded people to save money. Those who sincerely practice Hari Bhajan should never get distracted by the chains of welfare activities. A young seeker wearing only a kopina once stayed with Gaura Kishora for some days. Later he arranged through the agency of an employee of a female estate owner to obtain 5 kathas of land as a donation from the woman. When Gaura Kishora heard about this, he was extremely annoyed. Navadvip Dham is beyond this material world. How can a world landowner dare to hold land here and even think he can donate 5 kathas out of it? A mere grain of sand of the transcendental Navadvip is more valuable than all the precious gems in this world put together. Moreover, how advanced could this young kopina-clad devotee be if he dares to collect so much land in lieu of his bhajan merit? Once a devotee offered some sweets to Lord Gauranga and then took the offering to Gaura Kishora, urging him to partake of it. Gaura Kishora told the devotee, those who are non-vegetarian, those who commit adultery, offer food to Lord Gauranga with a particular motive. Their offerings never reach Lord Gauranga and are never sanctified as prasad. Srila Gaura Kishora regularly begged for rice, after which he would cook the rice, offer it, and partake of the prasad. He never touched any foodstuff offered by someone else. Once during monsoon, Gaura Kishora stayed in the rest house at Pulia Navadvip. Some prasad were left in a vessel for him to respect later. Meanwhile, a snake passed by the vessel and a woman there happened to notice it. When Gaura Kishora sat down to take prasad, the woman appeared there and informed him about the snake. Gaura Kishora, however, firmly stated that he would not touch the prasad until the woman left. After the woman left, Gaura Kishora said, "Look how Maya works. Taking the form of compassion, Maya attempts to hit deep into her target slowly. Maya can assume countless forms. She always prevents a mortal being from practicing Hari Bhajan." Giri Bahu and his wife once ardently requested Gaura Kishora to stay in their house at Navadvip. Gaura Kishora was moved by the sincere devotion and finally agreed to oblige him on the condition that he would live only in their toilet room where he would perform Hari Bhajan. Giri Bahu tried to persuade him to change his mind, but Gaura Kishora remained firm. Giri Bahu reluctantly arranged to have the toilet thoroughly cleansed, and Gaura Kishora used it for Hari Bhajan. A realized soul can practice Hari Bhajan anywhere in an unconcerned manner, and wherever he resides, that place becomes Vaikuntha. Srila Gaura Kishora was a highly spiritual advanced soul. He never allowed deceitful practices or any discussion which was not within the purview of the holy books. One day, when a devotee questioned Gaura Kishora about a well-known reciter of Srimad Bhagavatam who was in the habit of chanting Gaura, Gaura, Gaura Kishora remarked, he doesn't say Gaura, Gaura. Rather, what he means to say is more, more, money, money. Those who recite Srimad Bhagavatam with payment are not entitled to chant the name of the Supreme Lord. Srila Gaura Kishora never delivered discourses openly, yet his postulate character drew everyone to him. Upon meeting Gaura Kishora, even a staunch materialist would become inclined to take up Hari Bhajan. On 22nd of June 1914, Bhaktivinoda Thakur passed from this world into his samadhi, or deep meditation on Lord Krishna in Bhakti Bhavan. And then on November 17th, 1915, Gaura Kishora Dasa Babaji Maharaj, on the auspicious Uttara Ekadashi, also left this world. His body was placed into a samadhi tomb, but 16 years later, due to flooding, the samadhi had to be moved. There was a clamor of local Babajis trying to claim the samadhi, but the bold Bhaktivedanta Saraswati told everyone frankly, "I'm the only disciple of Paramahamsa Babaji Maharaj. Even though I have not accepted sannyas, I'm a celibate brahmachari, and by the grace of Babaji Maharaj, I'm not secretly addicted to abominable habits or involved in fornication, as some monkey-like people are." If there is someone amongst the people here present who is a renunciate of stainless character, then he can have Babaji Maharaj's samadhi. We have no objection to that. He who within the last year, or the last 6 months, 3 months, 1 month, or at least within the last 3 days, has not had illicit connection with a woman, will be able to touch his spiritual body. If anyone else touches it, he will be completely ruined. Hearing these words, the inspector of police who had come to judge for a fair and honest decision said, "How will evidence be had for this?" Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati replied, "I have faith in the word." At this, one by one, all the bogus Babajis slipped away without a word. That was the end. Some questions or comments? Yeah, somewhere around there. Yeah, it was. It said here it was 16 years after his disappearance, but that doesn't make sense. It was around the time when Gaura Kishora Dasa Babaji had passed away, and there was discussion, what to do with his transcendental spiritual body, which he had left behind, and of course, great Paramahamsas are not burned; they are buried, and you make a samadhi. And many wanted to have the samadhi in their temple or like that because it would attract pilgrims and like that, and be good for getting donations to the temple. So a fight broke out. Who would claim to have Gaura Kishora Dasa Babaji's body there for samadhi? And then at that time, Bhakti Saraswati, he came and he said, "I'm his own disciple, and furthermore, I'm a true brahmachari." And then there was this famous incident when he said there was argument forth and back, and then he said, anyone, nobody who's not pure in character can even touch this body without being ruined. So therefore, I'd say anyone who has had no illicit connection with a woman for the last, what does it say? Even within the last year, if I hadn't had any illicit connection with a woman within the last year, and then he kept reducing it, last half year, last 3 months, last month, and then it comes down to even just as you didn't have any illicit connection with a woman for the last 3 days, then I will. Oh, in the Navadvip area. I don't know exactly. He had also mood, but he was not a preacher in that sense. He was absorbed completely in bhajan. He was, when someone came to him, he would instruct them, but he was mainly just absorbed in bhajan. And Bhakti Saraswati narrates that actually when Gaura Kishora Dasa Babaji created a strong faith in him that actually it is, the states we read about in the scriptures of Paramahamsa and someone fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness and bhajan and chanting the holy name. He writes that in one sense, I didn't really believe it was possible to come to such a state or be at such a state until I met my Guru Maharaj. Then I saw actually it is a possible state. There are souls who are existing on this complete state of pure bhajan and pure Krishna consciousness. So Gaura Kishora Dasa Babaji gave instructions to Bhakti Saraswati about preaching and so on, I've learned. but he himself was a Babaji, and they don't go out and preach, but they still, of course, they instruct people. We hear, I mean, he gave instructions to many, and they were very he was very strict and uncompromising, and he didn't tolerate any form of hypocrisy or watered down anything like that. Like there was, we read this example of this young man who had he was a physician, so he thought that it would be a very good idea. I go and live in Navadvip, and then I will, give free medical help and advice to people and be in Navadvip, and that will be definitely very good service. And many will say, yeah, that sounds like a very good idea. But Gaura Kishora Dasa Babaji immediately looked through the whole thing and said, this is nonsense. This will not lead you to pure devotional service, pure bhajan. You will simply, you'll just be doing some mundane welfare work. You will be exploited by materialists who simply want to save on doctors' bills. And afterwards, what will they do when they're cured? They'll just engage in sense gratification. In one sense, it should also be obvious to any one devotee in good standing that material welfare work, but somehow or other, welfare work means some nice welfare for the body and so on, has no relevance for, a pure devotee should not engage in that, go down to that level. It's a fall down to go down to that level to become a mundane welfare worker and, cure people's diseases and give them food and like that. So, and I mean, Bhakti Swami has written a book about Gaura Kishora Dasa Babaji and also Vaishnava Dasa Babaji, another very great Paramahansa who was, living at the time of Bhakti Saraswati. And from that book, you can see actually there's a lot of instructions from him, and see actually how uncompromising and strict and right on he was in his instructions. So it wasn't that he was shying away from instructing, but people had to come to him, and he would only speak if there was some sincerity, and if there was hypocrisy, he would speak also, but he would immediately expose it. And had no interest in being popular or anything. Rather, we hear it was the very opposite. He would sit in a toilet or latrine where nobody would come because of this stink. And so then he could just be peaceful, or he would make a show of spread fish bones around, so people they would think he was a fallen meat eater. And it was also interesting. He never wanted his photograph taken. So where do we have a photograph of him, and you know where that's from? Yeah, the photograph we have of Gaura Kishora Dasa Babaji. It's taken after his disappearance. It's actually you can say it's his dead body. Bhakti Saraswati then raised the body up in a position, and he was behind there holding it, and then someone took a picture. And afterward, they edited the picture to remove Bhakti Saraswati, so only Gaura Kishora Dasa Babaji is left. And that's the only picture we have of him. He refused. He didn't want any pictures taken of him or anything like that. Completely renounced. There's no desire for prestige or followers or anything. And so his contribution is his pure example. There's instructions, and he instructed Bhaktivinoda Saraswati and empowered him to afterwards start preaching on a grand scale. And then his example of that, well, this is actually the real level of a Vaishnava, and it's attainable. That's Bhaktivinoda Saraswati's experience. He kind of thought it was somewhat a theoretical thing. That's what he says, Bhaktivinoda Saraswati. I mean, of course we don't. I mean, he was on that level himself, but